by the way, a lot of people didn't like the movie, The Passion of the Christ. And I have people that come to me and say it was just too violent. And I've got to say to them, they pulled punches, man. It wasn't nearly as rugged in the film as it was in reality. I mean, that's what Christ went through until finally, the most difficult moment in some mysterious way that we can't even fathom, there comes this instant where Jesus cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Quoting Psalm 22. And somehow in that instant, experientially or judicially, the Son and the Father experience separation for the first time in all eternity, and our sin is punished in the person of Jesus Christ. And he dies and he's buried. I'm going to close by, I think what I'll do tonight is I'll close by reading you. Maybe you've seen this already, but I like the way I wrote it, so I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it to you if I can find it here. Kind of the closing beat. The climax of scene 1, and it could be argued of the entire act, or even of the whole script, or even of human history, takes place during 1 week in Jerusalem in April of the year 30 AD. The action and intensity of the story hits a fever pitch as Jesus turns over the tables of the money changers, calls the religious leaders a bunch of hypocrites who are like whitewashed graves filled with decaying bodies, and attempts to explain to his followers in an upper room what his coming death really means. Jesus then endures the pain and mockery of both the Jewish Sanhedrin and Roman justice system as he is falsely accused and convicted of treason and blasphemy and sentenced to the most hideous and painful form of execution ever devised by the depraved human mind, crucifixion. If you didn't know the story, okay, you've never seen, just think for a second, you've never known the story before. It's the first time. If you didn't know the story and you were watching it in a theater, you would be completely devastated. And you would think you had just witnessed the most unjust, unfair, brutally insane tragedy you'd ever seen. And if this were the end of the movie, you would walk out in an emotional heap. But let's fade to black and use one of those title cards to inform the audience that the next time action occurs on the screen, it will be 3 days later. It's early Sunday morning. Life as they know it is over for the followers of Jesus. Their dreams have been crushed, their hopes destroyed, their friend and teacher brutally executed. Hiding away out of fear for their lives, only 3 women have enough courage to head to the grave to give their murdered friend a proper burial. Again, try to capture the emotion and devastation they must have been feeling. They arrive at the tomb only to find the stone rolled away and the body gone. All the emotion suddenly it turns to confusion or maybe outrage. Mary sees a stranger and she thinks it's the gardener of the place in which the tomb is located. "Where have you taken him?" she pleads. "Tell me and I'll go get the body." And then the man speaks. Mary. Jesus is alive. Despair begins to change to astonishment. Death has been conquered. Jesus is the Christ. It is all true. I'd be standing in the theater cheering like crazy. Which, by the way, is I think what a church service is supposed to be. Isn't it? He's alive! For the next 40 days, Jesus will not only appear to the 12 disciples and those who are with them till the end, he will appear to over 500 people with what Luke calls many convincing proofs of his resurrection. And finally, the day will come when he's ready to inaugurate a plan that can only be accomplished by him physically leaving the planet. And that will be the story of scene 2 of Act 2. And that's where we'll pick up next week.